Welcome to 'Cause We're Nerds, the podcast that covers trends and new releases in comics, movies, video games, board games, and much more. I'm your host, Caleb, and with me is my wife, Courtney.
Hello, everyone.
The summer movie craze is here, and that means it's time for movie madness. From now until July, we'll be reviewing a newly released movie nearly every week. Today, we're discussing the live-action remake of Aladdin. Does it soar like the original or plummet to its doom? Find out on this week's episode of 'Cause We're Nerds. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode. Courtney, welcome.
Thank you.
Today, we will be discussing actually two things. Obviously, we're talking about Aladdin. We're also going to be talking at the end of the episode about Brightburn. So, if you're curious about that little nugget, stick around.
I feel like in your little intro, you should have said, is it a diamond in the rough?
Look.
Yeah. Have some fun with it.
I can only do so much.
Or can you?
Yes, I can. Okay, so because this is a remake, and everybody kind of knows the story, I was thinking maybe we just start with spoilers, because I don't really know.
Yeah, so there are some differences to this in the original.
Yeah.
But I think that's to be expected for any remake. However, yes, the general premise of Aladdin is out there.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't seen Aladdin, then what are you doing going to see the remake? Unless you're, like, young.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then you probably don't care about spoilers anyway.
You're probably not listening to this.
Hey, we have an audience of all kinds of people.
Do we now?
I have no idea. I'm just saying that. All right. So, Courtney.
Yes.
We should start with our quote-unquote history with the franchises, as I typically like to do on these long-running franchises. This franchise being Disney.
Ooh.
I do believe you're just a small fan of Disney.
I mean, just a tiny bit. Just a little.
Just a smidge.
Just enough to get my feet wet.
Right.
One might say.
Okay, so what does that entail?
Everything. I love Disney. I mean, from theme park to movies to music to everything. I do enjoy my Disney. I enjoy beating you at Disney trivia.
That is not true. I have beat you, I think, every single time we've played for the last, 5 years?
No, you've beat me a couple of times. However, I did hold my own on the cruise ship with my Disney trivia. Took second against a family of 4. Because you wouldn't help.
Yeah, it was you. It was your thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, okay, so you were very versed in Disney then.
Yes. What about you?
I would say I'm an average 90s kid when it comes to Disney.
That's a really nice way of putting it.
Yeah.
I would say I'm also that. With some extra.
I think you're...
I said with some extra.
I definitely think you're more on that extra side. Yeah, I mean, I've seen all of the ones that came out in the 90s, definitely. All of the classic ones as well. I mean, Cinderella and all those. I'm blanking on movies. But
Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Mulan.
I was trying to think of ones that
Pocahontas.
didn't come out in the 90s.
Oh, Snow White.
Right. So I mean, I'm probably your typical
Sleeping Beauty.
Your typical Disney person. I have seen the original Aladdin. I do like the original Aladdin. Mm-hmm. If I had to rank all of my Disney movies, animated movies, it would be towards the top. But it wouldn't necessarily be my favorite. For frame of reference, my favorites, at least my childhood favorites, would have been things like Mulan and Peter Pan and Robin Hood.
And you like Fox and the Hound. Don't you?
I mean, I do. I couldn't tell you. I also liked the Aristocrats. Aristocats.
There you go.
And Hercules as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
My favorites as a child would have been, like a young child, would have been Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast. I didn't see Aladdin too much growing up. I did enjoy Mulan. As I got a little bit older, Lilo and Stitch probably became a very big favorite of mine. But yeah, all the ones you said, I grew up watching tons and tons and tons of times. Technically, I still have all of them on VHS.
Now, when it comes to these remakes, I haven't really seen any of them. I've seen the first, I think, 30 minutes of Maleficent.
Oh, yeah. I kind of don't include that one. I don't really consider it a remake because it's almost a whole separate story that includes Sleeping Beauty.
It is.
I think, like, I wouldn't consider Mary Poppins a remake either. The new one that just came out, Mary Poppins Returns, it's a sequel. But, like, I think if you look at the Cinderella that they came out with a few years ago, Beauty and the Beast, and now Aladdin. Those, I feel like, are the true remakes. A Lion King that's coming out this summer or fall, whatever.
Yeah, and The Jungle Book.
Oh, yeah, that one too.
And there might be some others. I haven't seen any of those. Have
I know you haven't. Yeah, I've actually seen all of them.
What?
Except for The Lion King.
Well, obviously, it's not out yet. You've seen The Jungle Book?
Yeah, I watched it with my students for classroom indoor recess stuff. It's pretty good.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think you would like that one. Out of
the Jungle Book was actually also one of my favorites as a child.
Okay. Yeah, I think you would enjoy it. I've been meaning to show it to you. I believe it's on Netflix. Don't quote me on that.
There's a different one on Netflix. There's the Mowgli one.
Well, originally it was when I watched it. I don't know if it still is. But out of Cinderella, Beauty and the Beast, and The Jungle Book, out of those three, I would say Beauty and the Beast is probably my favorite. I feel like they did a really good job capturing it. So yeah, you're a little behind. You need to catch up. So my big question, and I asked you this at the movie theater, I always get in trouble, guys, because when we end the movie, I always want to ask these big questions. And then he looks at me and he's like, you're just going to have to wait and listen to the podcast. But because he knew I was going to be on this episode, he couldn't say that. He said, no, you got to save it and ask those questions when we're on the episode. So my question is, this being your first introduction into the live action remakes of Disney, what did you think?
I thought it was pretty good.
I didn't think you were going to like it.
No, I liked it. It's definitely not perfect. I definitely had some things with it that felt kind of off.
Yeah.
But overall, I liked it. What about you?
Oh, I really enjoyed it. In fact, I was really disappointed. I really wanted to watch Aladdin before we went. And, like, you can't find it anywhere. And so it's been a really long time since I've seen Aladdin.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a long time either.
And growing up, I didn't really watch that one much. That's one we didn't own. And so kind of like watching the movie, I was trying to remember things. There are certain pieces to it that I remember, but I almost feel like I enjoyed this one more than the original. But I think I enjoyed this more for different reasons. And I'll get into that more as we start talking about the movie.
Okay.
But I did enjoy it overall.
Okay, cool. So, just to reiterate, this is full spoilers. We're about to go into that. So, if you don't want to hear it, go ahead and shut off now. Okay, so let's start with the actors.
Okay.
I liked some of the people in this movie.
Okay.
And some of them I didn't care for as much.
All right.
I thought that the guy that they got for Aladdin came off as way stupider than he did in the cartoon. Like, he kind of felt dumb in parts of this. And it's weird. I think it's anytime he's talking to a CG person, I like him a lot less. He doesn't...
So anytime he's talking to the genie.
Right. Or Abu.
Okay.
Like, he has
what?
this...
They didn't have an actual monkey there for him to talk to?
Well, Rocket was busy.
What? Rocket's a raccoon.
Yeah, he was the stand-in. Well, they wanted him for the stand-in.
Uh-huh. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, yeah, like, I don't know. The first half, like, I liked him at first, but then the more it kept going, his performance was more cheesy than everyone else. And there were times where I felt like it wasn't jiving. And I noticed as it went on, it was mostly when he was talking to CG things. When he's talking to other actors, it's not as bad.
Okay.
But I felt like he could have been better.
All right. I didn't really have a problem with him. I didn't care for Jafar.
Okay. Well, I guess I had seen Jafar in one of the trailers, and I'd heard his voice. And for me, like, Jafar has that booming voice from the cartoon.
Right.
So that was a letdown, but I was prepared for it because I saw it in the trailer. So in the movie, like, I thought he was fine. He seemed like a good villain. I mean...
I like how they changed his story for this movie. His driving point is different.
Yeah.
He's not out to marry Jasmine. He wants to... I meant, like, I know in the animated he wanted to become Sultan, and that was, like, his ultimate goal. But, like, in this one, it's different.
Yeah, he wants to invade another country.
Right.
Which...
Sheraba, I think is what it was called.
Yeah.
Which I found out is a mixture of two cultures.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Yes. So, Asian and there's one other one. Maybe I can't remember. I'm sorry. I had it. Forgot. But yeah, it's a mixture, which is supposed to be why the culture that you kind of see, like the clothing and stuff that Jasmine wears, is actually a combination of the two cultures coming together. I think it might have been Arabic, but I could have been wrong.
Yeah, I mean...
Okay, yeah. So, like, it's, but you get to see that mesh of that, like, Indian Asian mixed in with the Arabic style.
I definitely didn't get the Asian feel.
Well, technically, India is in Asia, which I think is why it's labeled Asia.
Yeah, but, I mean, when you think of Asian, you think of, like, China and Japan and places like that. I definitely got the Arab feel from the clothing.
Yes.
In fact, I thought they did a really good job updating the cartoon clothing.
Yes.
To be realistic.
I really loved the detailing of all that kind of stuff. Like, just the way they, like, put in the culture, I think was very tasteful and beautiful and just eloquent.
Okay, so going back to Jafar for a bit. They changed him to want to invade another country.
Yes.
That felt... It reminded me so much of the Star Wars prequels, because a lot of the prequels are about politics and about whether you should or shouldn't do something in that politics setting. And a lot of Jafar stuff is politics. I mean, there's scenes with him talking to the Sultan about whether or not they should do it. And I felt like that, I get why they would change his motivation so that he doesn't just want to marry the princess. But I feel like the decision to do it that way probably alienates kids. I feel like even for me, it wasn't super exciting to sit through those scenes and listen to the conversations. And for children, which I'm assuming this movie's for, I mean, I don't even know what it's rated, but it's probably PG. That's not something that would be exciting. And it's
going to go over their heads.
Right. And that's like a big complaint of the prequels, which is why I brought that up. So it was kind of weird to see that here in a remake of a classic kids movie.
I mean, I guess, like, maybe from a child standpoint, he's just a bad guy that wants more power.
Yeah. Which I will say, I did like how they actually gave him a little bit of backstory. There's not much.
Yeah, because you don't get that in the animated.
Right. And I feel like when you bring it to live action, you kind of need that. There's a couple lines that sort of kind of describe or allude to why he has magic powers and no one else does.
Right.
I wish that was actually included a bit more. Honestly, I could probably watch a Jafar movie in the style of Maleficent. Based on this movie.
That would be interesting. I would see it. I don't, like I said, I had a hard time with his character, But I tend to have a hard time with characters who are evil. Because I don't like their character, I tend to not care for them.
Okay. Well, I mean, that means
they're doing their job,
they did
but
something right.
Still. But yeah, no, yeah, they did give him a little bit more backstory, something he didn't have before.
Yeah.
All right, who's next?
Jasmine.
I liked Jasmine.
You like Jasmine?
I like Jasmine a lot.
All right, so we walked out of the theater, and you looked at me and said, you know who Jasmine reminds me of? Or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I said, don't say it. I thought of it myself the entire movie, and so we haven't actually talked about this yet.
Yeah, we don't know who each other thinks. I'm like, Caleb thinks we are thinking of the same person. I have a feeling that it's going to end up being completely different people because I'm weird like that. And for some reason, like, mannerisms will make me think of someone when they really look nothing like them. Okay. So I'm going to let you go first.
Okay. How about we both say it on a countdown? We'll say 3, 2, 1, and then on the go beat, we'll both say it at the same time.
Okay.
Okay? You ready? 3, 2, 1. Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Yes!
Specifically, Sarah Michelle Gellar in
Buffy.
Scooby-Doo.
No, I think Buffy.
Scooby-Doo.
Buffy.
Scooby-Doo.
No, Buffy, because Jasmine is such a, like, power to the woman character, and so is Buffy. And I think because you don't know Buffy because you've never really watched it. So, like, you don't see her in that setting, but, like, Jasmine, like, rocked that, and she, like, gosh, the entire time, like, I kept thinking, she is like Buffy, and she looks like Buffy. Yeah. She's just a brunette, dark Buffy.
She definitely looks like her, and she acts like her.
Yes.
Her expressions and the things she does.
Yes. All of it.
Yeah. It was weird.
It really was. I'm like, I know they're not related, but they feel like they're related.
Yeah, and
the only thing different is she's British.
Yeah, and I feel like I've seen her in something. I meant to look this up beforehand.
I did too, and I forgot.
Okay.
Normally I'm good about that, but I completely forgot to look it up.
Yeah, you mentioned that she felt like a really strong female character. Mm-hmm. I feel like they definitely boosted that in this movie as they did. Compared to the original.
Yeah, so like so the whole movie I'm like, I don't remember being Jasmine like, I want to be Sultan. Like, I just remember her complaining about not wanting to marry a prince in the animated movie. And I actually watched a video today, and it really talked about how, like, her drive in the live action is that she wants to rule the people. That she feels like the only person who truly knows them and can take care of them after her father is her. And that she's, waited her whole life to have that opportunity of becoming Sultan. And in the animated one, again, this is all spoilers, but in the animated, she marries Aladdin, and Aladdin becomes Sultan. She just becomes queen or whatever they refer to her as at that point. But in this movie, she actually becomes Sultan, and she gets to take charge of the land. So she's very political. She knows that she can handle the power, and it's of course this big deal because no woman's ever been a sultan in 1,000 years, and how can they have this, and blah, blah, blah. But I felt like in an age where a lot of people feel like, I guess an easy way to put it, feminism is like being shoved down their throats. I felt like the way Disney portrayed Jasmine and put it all together, that it didn't feel forced. It felt like it was natural. Like, she was supposed to rule. Like, why can't she rule? And I really felt like her character was very inspiring, and like, I would want my children to watch her in this movie and see how she, takes the throne and everything, and how she fights for herself and she doesn't stay quiet.
Okay.
But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, actually, if you thought that it was overt and out of place, or if it felt natural. It felt natural.
Because I think that it's important that there are, like, female superheroes, and, Disney princesses that aren't just going out to try to find a guy to marry. Like, I think little girls need something to look up to. And I think being a teacher, I kind of always, like, look for that. Because I want, like, my students to be inspired by things. And I mean, like, as kids, everyone gets inspired by superheroes. So, like, everyone wants someone that looks like them or someone that they can relate to. And I think it's important that there are strong female characters that little girls can look up to. And I felt like this one really did a good job. Like, it felt natural. It didn't feel like, oh, this is just, you know, a push for... I don't even know how to say it, like, how to word it, but I just, it was like it was meant to be. Like, she should be the Sultan. She knew her country. Like, she wanted to protect them and take care of them and everything, and I really enjoyed the song, because, so, some of the songs are different. I know we're kind of getting off of the character thing, but, like, I really liked her song that she sang. Speechless.
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. There's, I think, only one new song in this movie.
Yeah, we can talk about it a little bit more because I have a lot I want to say about the music.
Oh, we'll okay.
Come back, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's circle back around to her. Because I haven't seen Aladdin in a long time, I couldn't remember some of the motivations.
Yeah.
And such. So hers, like, I didn't have a problem with it. I will say it is very much kind of shoved in your face, but no more than any of the other characters' motivations. Yeah. So from that standpoint, it felt natural. Mm-hmm. Because usually when there's an issue where something is shoved in your face, it's because that is brought out of nowhere and nothing else is. Right. But it does feel pretty even, I feel like, in here. Yeah. And it does make more sense that she would end up being the ruler versus some random guy off the streets. Right. Like that king from Switzerland that shows up. Who reminded me so much of, what's his name? I can't remember his name, but he's in A Knight's Tale. He's the squire. Yes. It's called a lance. Duh. He reminded me of one of the princes from Frozen. Oh, yeah. That too. Or, what's it called? What's it called? I don't know. Merida? What's that movie called? Oh, Brave. Brave. Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. Which, watching this movie actually made me realize how many Disney movies are about princes coming in to try to marry a princess. Yes. That's honestly, if you look at every single, like, Disney princess movie up until some of the last few stuff, like, that's what it's all been about. I think that's why, like, everyone really enjoyed Frozen because, like, Elsa put it very eloquently. You can't just marry the first guy you meet. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say all of them are like that. Snow White wasn't like that. Cinderella wasn't like that. Snow White is like that. She marries the prince at the end. He's the one who wakes her up. But no, and... it's not. What I'm saying is, it's not about princes coming there to the princesses and trying to win them, like a whole bunch of suitors coming. Okay, I guess I get that part. But all of them involve a prince that they pretty much meet. Yeah. By the way, I think I said her name was Naomi Watts. It's actually Naomi Scott. I didn't think you said her name. Yeah, maybe I didn't. It was in my head. When I looked it up, I typed in the wrong thing. She was in Power Rangers. She was one of the Rangers. Oh, the yellow, right? I don't remember what color. But the new Power Rangers movie they did, she was in that. Apparently she also had a role in The Martian. I'm not sure who she was in that, though. Have you seen that movie? Yeah. It's really good. Oh. Okay. Sultan, the guy they got to play him was pretty good. Let's talk about Will Smith. Okay. I mean, do you have anything to say about the Sultan? I wanted the Sultan to be more fun because I really like the Sultan in the animated version. I get that in the animated version he's kind of dumb, but that's kind of what makes him lovable. And in this one, like, he was fine, but I thought he was lovable. He just seemed like a stock. He felt character. He felt real to me.
Whereas, I mean, and that's kind of the thing. They have to take what was animated and turn it into real. And I feel like that's kind of what the real version would be. Only not as, like, I don't know. I think when I think of the animated Sultan, I think of, like, someone you want to, like, squeeze his cheeks.
I don't think I'd want to do that to this guy.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's not that, but
Yeah.
the other one, like, he's just not that. Like, oh, you're
Right,
so cute.
right.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, Genie.
Go for it.
No, you go ahead.
I liked him. I thought as much as Robin Williams embodied the animated Genie, Will Smith embodied the live action Genie.
I really agree. I was nervous because, like, I still love Robin Williams. And, like, his death was very disappointing because I felt like he brought so much to his characters. And it kind of makes me sad that there's going to be generations that won't get to experience him the way we did. And I was nervous because I feel like anytime you have this, like, really amazing character get portrayed after someone's passed away, like, they have really big shoes to fill. And I feel like Will Smith filled them.
Yeah.
In his own unique way, but still kind of, like, paying respect.
Oh yeah, it was still very much the Robin Williams version.
Yes.
Just with a slight Will Smith flair.
Yes, exactly. And I think he did a really great job. And like I said, I was nervous at first, but, like, as we were watching, I'm like, I'm really enjoying this. Like, I will go see... I want to see the movie again. Like, yeah. I really enjoyed the movie.
I will say that when I was watching the movie, I kind of mentioned some of the issues I had with Aladdin. And I was kind of getting bored. And then the Genie came out. And I think just like the original, the Genie steals the show.
Yes.
In this movie. And anytime he's on screen or doing something, it's so much fun. That I think he is so much fun that it is a detriment to the film when he's not on screen. Aww. Because things aren't as fun.
But not every moment is meant to be fun.
I know, but it's meant to be entertaining.
That is true, but I don't know. I don't think he has to be in every scene.
No. I don't want him to be in every scene.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying that when he goes away,
you're left missing him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And the CG on him, for the most part, I thought looked really good. There were a couple parts where it was like, that doesn't look as good as it has looked. But, I mean, he's a floating blue guy.
That's right.
For most of the movie, so
yes.
Does it really have to look perfect?
No. There's only one thing, like, camera-wise that annoyed me during the movie. And I finally got used to it towards the end. But it's like when they would speed up the scenes.
Yeah.
Like when they were dancing and they would, like, all of a sudden go super fast. Or like when they were running through Agrabah trying to get away. I didn't like that.
That's a good segue. Let's jump to the music.
That has nothing to do with music.
Yeah, because it's while they're dancing and singing.
I'm talking about the weird
I know what you're talking about. They always do it during the songs.
Oh! Like, you didn't even connect to that part. But I guess you're right.
So...
Okay.
For the choreography of the songs, sometimes they filmed it slower than you see it, and they sped it up. I guess to get maybe some of the snappiness of the movements. But it does look weird. I noticed it a few times. Yeah.
Like, I think it didn't bother me as much in the dancing scenes, because, some of those movements, I feel like, are meant to be cut sharp. And, like, you're supposed to stop. So it kind of, like, worked in its favor to kind of produce that. But, like, the scenes where they were, like, running away when, like, Jasmine... Oops. when Jasmine gives the bread to the starving children and like they're running away, like those scenes were really annoying.
Yep.
And that's towards the beginning, and I'm like, I don't like this at all. And then there's the dance scene in the palace, and then there's another one towards the end. I think there's like 3 scenes where it's distinct in it.
Yeah, the one that stands out in my mind is the one at the beginning with the bread.
Yes.
Where they're running away, because you see them singing while it's sped up, and they did their best, and it matches okay, but sometimes the mouth doesn't necessarily fit with what's being said, and definitely the way they move. I mean, the way they moved reminded me a lot of, like, old school Charlie Chaplin movies.
Yeah.
Where they would speed it up, and it's slapstick, and it's kind of what it looked like.
I could see that, yeah. So, but yeah, that was probably my biggest complaint of the movie, were those moments. I know it's meant to be, like, stylistic, I guess, but I was not a fan.
Yeah.
As far as music goes, I actually, was watching a video today, and the original composer of the animated movie, they actually brought him back for the live action, and he actually rescored the whole movie.
Okay.
So he said his goal was to take animated and turn it into something that felt real, that you would have, like, and really experience there. And so, like, you can hear the tones and the melodies of the original, but it has pieces to it that are newer, and it's not as sharp as an intense. Sorry there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a full orchestra versus whatever they had in the original.
Right, but I mean, like, I thought it was interesting how, you know, he changed a little bit, and you can actually hear it from the minute it opens up with Arabian Nights. It's the sound is different.
Yeah.
It's just like you can almost hear an echo of the original in it. Some of the lyrics changed in several of the songs, and then he also helped with Speechless, which is the only new song that I noticed out of it.
I think it's the only new one.
Yeah, and I think he did that with the people who did some of the songs for La La Land, but I could be wrong on that.
So the thing about Speechless that surprised me was that it was the only new song. I kind of expected, a lot of times when they do remakes and stuff like this, they try to inject several new songs. So, like, when you look at, I don't really remember in the Jungle Book, because it's been on a few years since I've seen that one. But, because I saw it, and then I saw Cinderella, and then Beauty and the Beast. There are, I think, more than one new song in those. And I'm kind of weird. I just like the original, because I'm like, that's what I grew up on. Mm-hmm. I want the original song. Well, that's what most people feel.
I don't want these weird new ones. They're weird. I know I used it twice. But this one, I actually really enjoyed. And I felt like it gave Jasmine a voice and kind of let her kind of get her feelings out. And you're going to think this is funny. So, I love Disney movies. You know I love them. But, like, I've never considered them musicals.
Yeah.
Until we were watching Aladdin, and I'm, like, sitting here, I'm like, this is like a musical. And then I'm like, well, I guess all Disney movies are pretty much a musical. But because they're animated, it doesn't really feel like one. But this, like, and I mean, and like I said, I've seen all the live action ones that have come out since, and none of them felt like a musical. Mm-hmm. But this one, I'm like, man, this feels like a musical. And, like, I don't know what made it stand out more than the others. And then I was like, I wonder if Caleb's going to like it because it's a musical.
Well, I got that same sense. But I've recognized Disney movies as musicals for actually pretty recently, the last couple of years maybe, when I realized that, hey, there's a lot of singing in Disney movies. But this does feel different, and I was curious if I were to go back and watch the original, if it feels that way. My suspicion is that, at least up front, there's a lot of music in a fairly short amount of time. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's kind of what makes it feel that way. Mm-hmm. I will say, I want to get back to that one song in a second, but I will say while we're talking about this, I had some issues with some of the transitions into the music. Some of them felt kind of clunky and forced and like it wasn't natural. Yeah. And I think that also helped make it feel like a musical, because I feel like a lot of musicals
have that issue of like, and that's why I think like I said, I had never really considered the musicals until this one. And it was like, I think that could be why, because the transition into it's just like they had started singing and I'm like, wait a minute, why?
Yeah. Now going back to Speechless. Are you sure it's is it not Silent? I Won't Be Silent.
Look it up.
Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The new song.
No, I want you to look it up. Because I want to know.
I'm trying to talk. You look it up.
I don't have my phone.
So, I will say that I did like it. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a good song. I don't know if it fits in with the rest of the music. Mm-hmm. A lot of the originals have a Middle Eastern or Arabic or whatever you want to call it feel.
I was right.
It is called Speechless. Anyway, they've got that feel, and the ones that don't have a very specific sound.
I would agree.
And I don't know. I don't think this one has it. I think this one feels very much like a new song, like something that you would hear in Frozen.
Yes.
But not something that you would expect to hear in an Aladdin movie.
So I agree on all those things, actually. So we actually hear the song in two different scenes. Mm-hmm. The first time, I was like, I don't like this song. It made me think all the things you just said. But the second time, I felt like, even though it wasn't the same sound or feel, it fit that scene. And it showed her power and her need to like stand up. And so I was like, I can go with it. But yeah, it doesn't have that feel of like you're in Agrabah and it you're right, it doesn't have that. And it does have very much the feeling of like Frozen or Moana or something like that. Right. Which is something you need to see.
Maybe.
Never mind.
The Genie's songs, though.
Oh, those are good.
They're fantastic. Yes. Especially Friend Like Me.
Yes, it's still stuck in my head. Like, all the songs are. But that one, it just keeps popping up in my head. And I'm like, keep wanting to dance to it.
It's like they recreated the original animated version in live action, which I don't understand how they did it and it not look ridiculous. But they did, and it didn't. And it was really good. Yes. I'm also a big fan of Prince Ali.
Yes. That one, it was so funny because when we were watching it and and they get Will Smith in like drag in that one scene, I'm like, it's like from the original. How I remember that out of other things from the animated version is beyond me. But I thought that was the best part. Not really, but it was really funny. Yeah. But like, yes, Prince Ali is a really good song. That's another one stuck in my head. Like all the originals are like in there and it keeps like playing in my head and I keep wanting to sing
and there were a couple times, I don't know if you realized, where they would play those songs in the background during scenes, but it was a different arrangement. So it would be like a really light sounding one that you would really have to listen to because it was also dragged, whichever word, out across time. So where, normally it might be a second between notes. It's like 5 seconds between notes. So you don't necessarily notice it unless you're paying attention.
Well, you know me. I don't focus on music as much unless it's something that catches me. So I did not recognize that. But I'm sure if I were to watch it now, I would.
Yeah. It was weird because I wasn't trying to notice it. It just sort of happened.
Popped out.
Yeah. Overall, CG looks pretty good. The city looks good.
Mm-hmm. Very pretty.
Abu looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Not necessarily real all the time.
No, but Raja.
Oh, the
tiger.
The tiger?
He does.
I wouldn't say he looks real all the time either. Sometimes...
I thought he did.
Sometimes he looks more real than others. He looks real enough to be in the movie.
Yes.
The flying carpet.
So pretty.
Yeah.
I like the new colors. Did you?
I didn't realize they changed it.
Yeah. I think so.
What colors was it?
Well, I mean, in this one it looked more blue and purple with some other colors. And then the other one, I always thought it had more red in it.
I always saw the other one as purple with gold trim.
Okay, well, maybe I'm wrong. I felt like it looked like... I don't know. I could be wrong. I saw distinct color differences.
Okay. Well, I mean, they probably put more detail into it.
That's true.
So
yeah.
They could have injected some new colors.
The carpet made me think of Doctor Strange's cape.
Yeah, I guess it does.
Yeah.
Does it get ripped in the original? I don't think it does.
I really don't remember the original. I mean, like, I could probably count how many times I saw the original Aladdin on, like, one hand. That's how little I've seen it.
Okay.
Like, if you look at some of the other ones, like, I've seen Mulan. I can't even tell you how many times. Like, I could probably quote the movie. Same with, like, Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, stuff like that. But, like, Aladdin was one I didn't see much. And, like, Hercules, those were just ones that I didn't see as much. So, I don't remember every point to it.
Okay. That's fine. Let's see. What else? Well, changes, which you don't remember. So I could be wrong, but do you remember if Jafar becomes Sultan in the original with one of his wishes?
I think that he's about to. I think he's supposed to marry Jasmine, but I don't think he uses a wish to become a Sultan. But I could be wrong.
I didn't think that he ever actually became Sultan in the original. And I also remember him being a giant genie for much longer than he is in this film.
Yeah, I also didn't like him as a giant genie in this film.
Well, I don't think that, because he wasn't in it much, I don't think that they really...
Focused on the details.
Focused on it, yeah.
Yeah, Go ahead.
And I feel like the final confrontation or whatever also takes place in a different spot. Like, I feel like the spot that they picked in this movie didn't have the feel of the original. I don't know where the original is, and it could be in the palace.
The original...
I thought it was in like
this, like, weird place. Almost like the dungeon, I almost feel like.
Yeah.
Because, like, Jasmine ends up... Like, doesn't he shrink her into, like, an hourglass or something? Am I imagining all this? Isn't there a part where she's, like, in this, like, glass chamber with sand and she's, like, trapped and... Or maybe that's where Aladdin is.
I don't know.
Oh, it's been so
Don't
long.
remember.
No, yeah, they are in a different place. I think it could be the dungeon. But, I don't think it's, like, out in the desert. I think it's at the palace, just, like, where within the palace, I'm not sure.
Okay. Is it Diago? Is that the bird's name? Iago. I think it's Iago. The parrot. I thought the parrot was pretty good.
Yes.
They still had him talk.
Yes.
But without it feeling weird.
Because parrots can talk.
Because he's a parrot. Mm-hmm. So he would say things even though he wasn't necessarily repeating something someone just said.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. One thing I did have, I don't know if I'd call it an issue, it just felt off, was the whole flying carpet scene. Visually, it looked pretty good.
Which one?
With the song, A Whole New World.
Oh.
But something about, I think it was the way they were singing and sitting on the carpet, like it felt very unnatural. And maybe that's because nobody's going to be sitting on a carpet singing. especially if it's flying through the air.
I just want to say, if there's a magic carpet, I'm going to sing on it. Just saying.
Also, I kind of felt like if you weren't holding on, you would have fallen off that thing.
Well, I mean, Aladdin is very well versed in riding the magic carpet. I mean, you know, who knows? However, there is one part, or I'm getting it mixed up with the animated. Isn't there a scene where, like, she takes hold and, like, drives them?
Maybe. I don't know.
Then that's in the animated, I think. But
No, it's not in the movie.
Okay, then it's in the animated. But I don't know, it didn't bother me. What did you think of the parrot becoming gigantic?
Was not a fan of that.
Apparently it's from like a lore story from that culture. Something that connected. I had never heard of it, but
I didn't like it. It felt like something that was new Hollywood trying to inject itself into a classic movie. Because there's a lot of, like, creatures transforming and becoming other things in Hollywood right now. So, I didn't care for it.
Okay.
One thing, which if you're into Aladdin, you probably already know, but the original opens with a merchant telling a story and then singing a song. And there's been speculation...
I come from a land such a far away place. Yes, the peddler is what he's known as.
And there's been speculation pretty much since the movie came out. Is that the genie? Is the genie telling the story? Because his costume is pretty much the same. It's the same color scheme. I think he's got the same facial hair. And this movie pretty much takes that idea and pushes it further, where it definitely shows you that this is Genie. And by the end, you are 100%... You know that not only is this a guy that just looks like the genie, it actually is the genie.
Yes.
It's set after the movie.
Uh-huh. Yeah, so I guess we should kind of get into that. So the story opens up, or the movie opens up with Will Smith. We don't know that he's the genie. I mean, I kind of at first didn't think that the stories were going to be connected, because he sits his children down, they're on this boat, and he says, I'm going to tell you the story of Aladdin, the princess in a lamp. And so I'm like, oh, this is kind of like Princess Bride.
Okay.
We're going to hear a story, but they're not connected. Like, I didn't expect that all of that actually happened.
Okay, I did.
Okay. Well, like, I don't know. I thought it might have that feel. And something we forgot when we were talking about characters. One of the new characters is her handmaid, Dahlia. She not in the animated. And her character and the genie actually fall in love, and they end up having children. 2, and they live in a boat. Because that was what they had hoped for or whatever. But, yeah, so it opens up with that. And, Will, or the genie, whatever you want to call him, starts with the song Arabian Nights. Because his kids say, why don't you sing? We always listen better, or something like that when you sing. And so he starts off the movie. And then at the end, he's finishing the story, and you see that that's, you know, him and his children, and that he did go off and marry Dahlia and everything else.
Yep. Trying to think what else I have to say about the movie. Do you have any... Oh, well, do you have anything else?
No.
Okay. So, I will say... Again, overall, I liked it. I think it's in the realm of adaptions. It's very high up there.
Yes.
Is it my favorite? No. Will I watch it again? I'm not going to seek it out. I would watch some of the Genie stuff again, or sing some of the songs maybe.
Yeah.
Because some of them are really good. But
yes.
Overall, I liked it. But Courtney, this movie is a very important piece of history. Because this movie features the return of the Will Smith rap during the credits.
That's right. So, like, I was unaware that was a thing until I was reading today. And then I was thinking back through his movies, and I'm like, Oh, he does do that. Like,
He used to.
right. And so, yes, I had told you there was a rap in the movie, but unaware to me that it was actually an after credits rap.
Well, it's during the credits.
Well, yeah, sorry. I meant during. And so that's why you were so excited when we were at the theater. I understand now.
Yeah, because I pointed out, like, this is it. It's
Yeah.
the return. Because in the old days, Will Smith would basically rap about what the movie was about.
Right.
And that kind of happens in this song.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more thematic than specifically what happens in the movie.
Right.
But I mean, it is. And
Yes.
that just made a little piece of me happy.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
Now that you've seen a Disney live action, are you going to watch the others? Does this one make you want to watch the
All
others?
right, let's name them again. Jungle Book?
Jungle Book,
Cinderella.
Cinderella, and Beauty and the Beast. And then, I mean, like I said, I don't count Mary Poppins, the new one, in that.
No, that's definitely a sequel.
Right. You're being forced to see The Lion King anyway. So, but out of those three, does it interest you to see what they're about?
So it doesn't really change my interest level. My interest level in them has kind of been, if I liked the original, I was interested. So they're doing a live action Mulan. I loved Mulan, so that
Right.
I've been very interested in.
Yes.
Cinderella, I don't care so much about.
The Cinderella one isn't my favorite.
Yeah.
Like I said, out of those three, Beauty and the Beast is definitely my favorite.
Right.
Now, put Beauty and the Beast beside Aladdin, and I don't know which one's my favorite.
Okay. So with Beauty and the Beast, like I like the original, but it was never my favorite or anything. The Kingdom Hearts games have actually made me like Beast more as a character, because he's featured in those pretty heavily.
Right.
So like that one I would watch. I don't know if I would just seek it out if I have nothing to do. I'd probably watch something else first. And the Jungle Book, I don't know, because that one I don't feel like it got a lot of press, like a lot of talk when it came out. It kind of came out and then moved on. At least I didn't see much.
Right. And I remember, like, when it did come out, everybody was like, how does this work? It's live action, but all the animals aren't real.
Right. It's not really live action.
Right.
It's like The Lion King coming out. It's
right.
We're calling it live action.
What? They didn't get actual lions to play these parts?
Right.
I feel so let down.
So the thing with those sorts of movies where you have talking animals, I just don't gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons I haven't sought out the Jungle Book, and also kind of because I forgot it was made. But like Lion King,
yeah.
Some of the decisions they've made with that, changing the design of, like, Scar, for example, you can't really tell he's Scar anymore. He doesn't look different.
Well, that's just in the trailers.
Yeah, they're not going to change his coloring in the movie.
Well, probably not.
And, like, the way they speak, I don't know if I like that. So I don't know. Like, I would go back and I'd at least watch a trailer for the Jungle Book and say yes or no, I'm going to watch this. So I don't know. I will probably see some of them at some point, but I'm not going to seek them out.
Okay. I'm probably going to force you to see one at some point.
That's okay. Okay. Unless you have anything else to talk about, I think we should move on to Brightburn. Is that a yes?
Sure.
Okay. So we also went to go see Brightburn. If you're not familiar with this movie,
Still go see it.
This is essentially what if Superman was evil? It's a movie that is
and he was really evil.
Is produced by James Gunn. He didn't direct it. It was written and I believe directed by his brother, one of his brothers, and his cousin.
Okay. I saw Gunn, the last name Gunn, up there a lot.
Yeah, so it's all kind of in the family.
Yes.
we're not going to spend a lot of time on this movie. Definitely right now we're keeping it spoiler free. If we do go into spoilers, we'll definitely mention that. Because this movie does have a story. So, right off the bat, I was not sure I wanted to see this movie because it's a horror movie. And as I have mentioned many times before, I don't watch horror movies.
He used to.
Back in my,
high school days.
Unlearned days.
Okay.
So we got into the theater, we sat down, and the first trailer started for the new Annabelle movie, and the very first shot is this creepy doll, and I immediately looked at Courtney and said, I've made a mistake.
Because we didn't see those trailers during Aladdin.
Yeah, ooh, that Annabelle one. I told Courtney, I was like, I'm not gonna see that, but I like the premise. So this movie, it's not as horrible as I expected it to be. I expected it to be like a horror movie starting at the very beginning and going all the way through, and it's just not. I'll say the first maybe 30 minutes really don't have any horror in them at all.
No.
It's kind of just laying the groundwork, and then the horrible stuff comes later.
And it's pretty horrible.
It is pretty horrible. Even though there's a bit of it, it comes in like segments. So it'll be fine and then something will happen, and then it'll be fine and then something will happen. Like maybe 10 or 15 minutes apart from each other. Mm-hmm. So it kind of gives you time to recover.
Sure.
I thought.
Yeah. Gives you time to be willing to open your eyes and look at the screen.
Yeah. It is very graphic.
Yes.
Some of it is more real looking than others.
Yeah.
But it is very graphic. Mm-hmm. More graphic than I expected to see, to be honest.
Yeah.
And the story is smaller than I expected as well.
Yeah, I thought it would end up growing bigger.
Yeah.
But it kind of just stays within the town.
Yeah, and there's a point...
Which makes sense, because of the name.
Right, so the name, Brightburn, is actually the name of the town.
Right.
It would be like Smallville.
Yes.
Smallville, Kansas. And it is in Kansas.
Yeah.
It is very much... If you had any doubts that this was a fake Superman movie... Those are laid to rest when you see it.
Yep. The only thing that messed up this whole movie is the name of the mom.
What's her name?
Her name's Mary.
What's the dad's name?
I don't remember the dad's name.
Well, maybe his name was wrong too.
Probably. But you know what's wrong? It's not Martha.
Yeah. What else? What else can I say? The effects I thought were all really good. Mm-hmm. It looks good. It's a well-shot movie.
I thought the story was good.
Yeah. I don't want to go too much into that for spoilers, but go ahead.
No. I'm good. I don't...
Okay.
I mean, like, for me, it was... Like, it's not a movie that I'm gonna want to see. Like, I used to be really into horror movies. And every once in a while, I want to watch them. I liked the idea of it. But, like, when I left, I'm like, I don't want to see that again.
Yeah. I understand that.
Not that it's not a movie not worth seeing. I think if you like the premise of it and you don't mind some graphic things, like, I mean, this is in the trailer, so I don't mind saying, but there's a scene with glass getting in an eyeball, and I have a lot of issues with eyeballs and, like, things happening to them or them looking creepy. It's one of my fears. So it's traditionally anything when it involves the eyes, I will like turn my head and not watch.
Yeah.
'Cause I could not watch that part.
Yeah.
So.
I had something I was going to say. Oh, it does have some jump scares.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are towards the beginning. They rely less on that as the movie progresses, which is a good thing, I think. That's one of the reasons I don't like scary movies. Is I don't like jump scares.
Right.
So
this might end up being a spoiler. The question I'm going to ask you, your answer might be a spoiler. But what do you think causes him to become bad? Like, why did he not turn out good like Superman? I mean, like, his parents were good. They took care of him. They raised him right. Like, what made him evil?
Okay, let's jump into spoilers real quick. There's going to be a short spoiler section. We're not going to talk about this movie for a lot of time.
Okay.
But there are a couple things I want to say for spoilers. So, if you don't want to know before you see it, again, shut it off now. Okay, so in this movie, the way I read it is, it's sort of like Superman. Superman was sent to Earth. This one was sent to Earth, though, with a mission.
Okay.
To conquer the Earth. And
take the world.
Right. Sort of like Goku. He failed. He was sent to Earth to conquer, right?
Yes.
And this one, the ship is programmed to activate at a certain age. His 12th birthday.
Okay.
And it sort of activates something in him. Yeah. And that's why he turns bad.
Okay.
It doesn't really have...
It's not anything that, like, could have been prevented.
No.
So it was just inevitable.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. That's what I was just, like, trying to make sure. Because, like, I know that... I guess I didn't realize that he was sent with a mission, even though, like, they say that because his spaceship is telling him take over the world.
Yeah.
But I just, like, wondered, like, what caused him to just, like, snap and go crazy.
Yeah, I think the spaceship was the start of it.
Okay.
Potentially he could have been steered.
Okay.
But because of what ends up happening, like, after that, there's a point where, like, there's no return.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, when you start killing people, there's kind of
no
return from that.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I will say, the scene where he shows up in the girl's bedroom for the first time felt very uncomfortable, and it was supposed to.
Yes.
But I felt uncomfortable because I thought it was about to go to a place that I didn't want it to go, and I didn't think it should go, especially given all the controversy with James Gunn in the last year.
Well, see, I didn't even think of it that way. I mean, like, I was concerned it was going to go the way you're thinking, but not because of that. I was thinking more of, like, age and everything else.
Oh, no,
and, like,
well,
all that stuff.
All of that
I know.
as well. I'm just saying specifically the James Gunn stuff. Not that he wrote it, because he didn't.
Right.
But it was interesting. That scene didn't play out the way I thought it would.
No.
I'll say that.
Yes.
It played out much better, I thought, while still having some of the same implications.
Yes.
And really, I think if his father had been more straight with him, potentially this entire movie could have been avoided.
In some of it, yes.
Well,
I guess so.
Because that's what really starts off.
That's what triggers.
That's what triggers his first kill.
Yeah.
Because he goes there and then she gets upset, and she doesn't grab his hand, or she doesn't hold him up, and then he crushes her hand. All because of a misunderstanding, because the dad didn't do a good job being specific.
Yes. So what it's saying is, parents, tell your kids the truth.
Yeah. So I did want to say, this is like Evil Superman.
Yes.
But it's not Evil Superman in my mind. In my mind, Evil Superman is a mass murderer. Which he kind of is in this movie, but...
I think that's what he's becoming.
Yes, it is what he's becoming. But what we actually see in the movie is more of
a serial killer.
Someone who tortures people.
A serial killer.
Yeah, it's a serial killer. But
he leaves a signature and everything.
True. But, like, there's a lot more focus on torturing them and toying with them than, like, what I would think of a evil Superman would just be instantly killing everyone. Like, you know, no flair, no remorse, just instantly laser vision or throwing them away or something.
Even at that age?
I'm just saying when I think evil Superman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is something that's happened in the comics a lot. It's not a new concept.
Right.
It's just never happened in a movie before. Mm-hmm. Did it end the way you thought it would end?
Yes and no. So, I'm not surprised that it ended that way, that he won, essentially, and that he is going to take over the world. But then I was surprised that he wasn't put down.
Okay.
When his dad takes him camping, I'm like, he's going to shoot him. Like, he's going to kill him.
Yeah.
That didn't work. But, when his mom thinks about how, like, the spaceship can hurt him, I, was like, oh, she's going to take him down. This whole thing's going to end. Mm-hmm. But I was disappointed.
Yeah, I definitely knew the dad was going to try to shoot him when the whole camping thing came up.
Yes.
I wasn't sure if the mom knew that or not until...
Oh, no,
until she realized... Well, eventually I realized that. But because of the way she was acting, I wasn't quite sure if she knew. Obviously, I knew shooting him wasn't going to work. I knew the dad was probably going to die.
Yeah, he's kind of stupid.
Well...
For trying to shoot him.
That's the first...
I think it was going to work.
That's the first time he'd ever been shot. He hadn't really seen his kid's powers.
Yeah,
the only thing he had seen...
he even makes the comment that, like, he's never bled, he's never been cut, he's never had a bruise, he's never had anything broken.
But he's never been shot. I mean, if you worked with someone that had never gotten majorly hurt, you're not going to think they're bulletproof, especially with the gun he had.
I mean, I guess so, but then, like, I also feel like... See, I feel like he kind of has experienced his strength because of the fight in the kitchen.
That's the only thing.
And the fact that he kills his uncle.
But they don't know how he did that.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess they didn't see the truck or the uncle, but like...
because they don't see anything until it's happening to them.
I guess it's true. I don't know.
So... the movie pretty much went the way I expected at that point. Okay. I noticed towards the end that they hadn't brought the spaceship back up. And I was like, they made a point to say it cut him. They're going to use that against him. But I didn't think they were going to win. I thought that they were going to, basically what they did, kind of use it as a fake out. Mm-hmm. The one thing that happened that I didn't expect is I did not expect the mom to turn against him. I thought the mom was kind of going to stay on his side, but I pretty much thought that it was going to end with him winning. Okay. Which it does.
Yes.
Yeah.
To take over the world.
To take over the world. Did you notice in the after the credits, or well, it's during the credits, seeing the little Easter egg they dropped?
I don't know.
They basically alluded to a Dark Justice League. They basically reference an evil Aquaman and an evil Wonder Woman.
Okay, I remember them referencing, I remember hearing something that made me think of Aquaman, but, I did not hear the Wonder Woman one.
Yeah, so the Aquaman one was, they talked about some guy being underwater and doing stuff.
Okay.
And then the Wonder Woman one, they talked about, I think they might have called her a witch, that strangles people with a magic rope or something.
When that guy is talking.
Yeah?
What's his name? I'm blanking on his name. The actor's name.
Michael Rooker.
Yes. I didn't realize that's who he was referring to. The witch. Like, that part went over my head.
Yeah.
I guess. But I did recognize the one with the fish. Aquaman.
Yeah. So that sort of makes me wonder if they're going to try to do a sequel. Other than that, the movie feels very standalone.
Yes.
In some ways, it reminds me of Chronicle.
That's a really good like example or description of something similar.
Yeah. And I really like Chronicle.
I know you do.
I like
that teeth scene. Ugh.
Chronicle?
Yeah.
I don't remember what you're talking about.
There's a scene with teeth.
Oh, okay. I really like this movie as well. I'm not going to watch it again because
no,
I just don't know if I could handle. I mean, I could handle it, but like, I don't need to. I've experienced it. I'm not going to forget. Mm-hmm. I don't need to see it again. So, yeah, if you're into the premise, definitely go check it out. Mm-hmm. It is pretty intense and multiple ways you could take that. But it is good. Mm-hmm. So check it out if you want.
That's right.
Oh, last thing.
Yes.
His symbol thing.
Yes.
I didn't realize it was two B's until they brought it up.
Really?
Brandon Breyer?
No, I knew that instantly.
Oh no, I saw it as two diamonds with a line through them.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it could also stand for Brightburn.
Yeah.
Which I didn't think of till now.
Oh.
I wasn't thinking too deeply during this movie. You know? So.
It's okay. I did, but you know.
Okay. Moving on. We are done with the spoilers for that movie.
I have a random question.
What's up?
So, Jacob's editing this episode.
Yeah.
Is he wanting to see this movie? Because he should see it before he gets to this part of editing.
Oh, no. I don't think he'll listen to the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No. But we make notes. We'll look behind the curtain. We make notes while we're recording if there's a mistake or something. And
Not
then
on that.
I do it on whatever. And then I give it to him. And he will edit those parts out. Otherwise, he just does all the standard stuff.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I was just curious.
Yeah. And if not, well, oh well.
Sorry, Jacob.
I mean,
I tried to help you out.
Okay. But that was that, and this is this. It's time for What You Been Up To.
Ooh. I have been up to pretty much the same thing you have.
Don't steal my stuff.
Well, I'm stealing one of them. Maybe. What do you got on your list?
That's
you
my
don't even
list.
have it on there. Great. I've been watching The Umbrella Academy with you.
Oh, yeah. I thought about adding that, and then I didn't because I'd only watched one episode, but now we've watched 3.
Yes. And they're good.
Yeah, so we just finished episode 4 or 5, I think.
Mm-hmm. I believe so.
Yes, it's your thing. I'll let you talk about it.
Yeah, so, I actually started it a few months ago when it came out, because I was really excited about the idea. And then, I had to stop because Caleb was like, I can't believe you watched that without me. But you can continue if you want to. But see, here's the thing, guys. I can't continue once that's said.
Yes, you can.
No. I just can't. So I've been waiting patiently, and because we've been finishing our shows, we kind of gotten to the point where, we could actually, watch some other stuff. And so, we've been hitting that up, and it's been really good. We also finished, many people, Game of Thrones.
Oh,
we won't talk spoilers, but it is over.
I made a post on Facebook. I was quite proud of it.
The winter.
and I put it on Twitter. It was something along the lines of, winter was coming, then it was here, and now it's gone. Mm-hmm. Goodbye, Westeros. Until next time.
Yes. And that is a great way to sum it up. Caleb's pointed out to me, and I know on the show multiple times, that a lot of our favorites are coming to an end this year. And it's kind of crazy to think how many franchises are kind of like meeting their end. Or just like the storyline that they've been carrying. And so we did that with Endgame. We've now said goodbye to our characters in Game of Thrones. So
Courtney will be saying goodbye to her Naruto characters in the near future.
Finally getting somewhere with that. We've been cranking out Naruto like crazy, and I'm not sure I'm ready to say goodbye to that either, but it's gonna happen. So yeah, that's kind of what I've been up to. Nothing really fancy or really out of the ordinary. Just finishing up the school year to start summer. What have you been up to? Because I feel like I'm meant to ask because you didn't start talking.
You are meant to ask.
Okay. Hey, Caleb, what have you been up to?
I've been up to a lot, Courtney.
I know you have.
And some of this you've...
Stole from you?
You've experienced with me as well.
That's right.
The new Detective Pikachu movie has gotten me all thinking about the Pokemons.
That's right.
So the other day, I fired up, on a whim, really, one of the new Pokemon movies. So there's tons of Pokemon movies. Mm-hmm. A couple years ago, they made one that was set in a new continuity that is separate from the TV show and the games and all of those movies. It's called Pokemon I Choose You. It sort of kind of retells the original anime story with changes. I really liked it, honestly. The art style is closer to the original series than what they're currently airing on TV, which I don't watch, but man, it looks like a hot mess. And there was a really weird...
Fireworks.
Oh, fireworks?
Because, Memorial Day.
It didn't sound like fireworks. I'm glad it's fireworks because it was a little creepy. I lost my train. So I liked the movie. It's a little episodic towards the beginning. It hits a lot of the major beats that the anime did. So that makes sense. But it's good. So if you're a fan of Pokemon, especially the original anime, you should definitely check it out. There is a sequel that I will probably watch at some point called The Power of Us. And then immediately following that is another movie that is yet to come out. It's coming out soon that I will watch called, it's Pokemon, the first movie, something, or Pokemon Mewtwo, something. It's basically the first Pokemon movie remade in 3D.
Ooh.
So the people look weird in it, but other than that looks pretty good. So check that out. I watched the first episode of Mad Men. Don't have a lot to say about that, except I like it. It was good. I did some literary exploring this past week. As I mentioned last week, I did actually download the Shonen Jump app, and I paid the $2 to get their subscription access to all of their manga that they have on there, which is...
I didn't know that.
That's because you didn't listen to last week's episode.
I've been listening to book 6 of Harry Potter on audiobook and thoroughly enjoying it. So yes, I'm a little behind on the podcast episodes.
So they do not have all of the manga they've ever published on there. I do not think it. And if they do, then it's way less than I thought it would have been. So they are missing stuff, but they've got like the main stuff on there. They've got your Naruto, they've got your Yu Yu Hakusho, your Rurouni Kenshin, your Dragon Ball, all those things plus more. And so I got it, and I chose to check out something very interesting. Some people might roll their eyes. Yu-Gi-Oh! And the reason is, a couple years ago, I found out that Yu-Gi-Oh! As we know it in America is not Yu-Gi-Oh! At all. If you have ever heard of the Shadow Realm, or seen memes about banishing you to the Shadow Realm, that does not exist in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Mythos, even the anime series. There's a lot of stuff that we got in America that was censorship from the Japanese version of the anime. The original is much darker, deals much more with death.
That's honestly, that's any anime that came here in the 90s.
Not all of it.
A good chunk of it.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Like Sailor Moon is even censored.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was more of the early 2000s.
Okay, 90s to 2000s. But I mean, like, even Sailor Moon was censored.
But, like, there are whole aspects of the show that are massive cultural touchstones that did not exist at all in the originals. And beyond that, the original anime is actually quite different from the original manga as well.
Okay.
So because of all these things and kind of how dark I've read that the original has been over the years, I have always kind of wanted to look into the manga version of Yu-Gi-Oh! And so I started doing that. I read the first 2 chapters today. And... When you came in here and said, "Am I bothering you?" And I said, "Yes."
Thanks for telling everyone.
Yeah, so what's interesting is the first 7 volumes apparently weren't even made in the anime. So that's the first, 50 chapters weren't even made in the anime. It's very different. The art style doesn't look a whole lot like the show. It is very much darker. Vengeful dark. So I think I'm enjoying it. It's very interesting. I'll say that at the very least. So I'm planning to continue on through that. If I keep liking it, maybe I'll read through the whole series. If not, I'll jump on a different series and check that out.
Okay.
And then lastly, another literary thing is I have wanted to read Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft, for quite a long time. The creator of the Cthulhu mythos. And I don't know, at some point in the last few months, I purchased a book that's got a bunch of his stuff in it. And I actually sat down and read several stories just the other day, and I really enjoyed it. I'm trying to think of the stories. I read The Tomb, Beyond the Wall of Sleep, and Polaris. Polaris I did not enjoy as much. It leans far more on science fiction. But The Tomb and Beyond the Wall of Sleep are both pretty heavily rooted in horror, sci-fi horror kind of stuff. I enjoyed both quite a lot. I definitely have to be active when I read it because it's a mouthful. But I'll probably be checking out more of that as well. It's really good, and I'll keep you guys updated, especially once I get to the Call of Cthulhu, because that's one of his biggest ones.
Yes.
So that's all I got, Courtney.
Great. We've been going for a while. But
we have been going for a while. You know who else has been going for a while? Taylor Poole. We want to say thank you to Taylor Poole for our amazing opening and closing music. You can find him at taylorpoolemusic.com. That's TAYLORPOOLE music.com.
And after you're done with that, you should check out our friends at the CNC Power Hour. I don't need that. I know how to plug them. They're awesome. They play Magic the Gathering on Sundays through Twitch. You can check them out there. They also do some streaming of video games. I'm not going to pull a Zach. They are done with Kingdom Hearts.
For a while.
They've been done for a while. They are, actually, I don't exactly know what they're on. They need to be letting us know so we can properly tell you. But they video game during the week and on Saturdays, and Sundays is their magic time.
And please also check out our website at causewe'renerds.com, where you can find all of our episodes, a little bit about us, and is the best way to share the show with your friends.
Yes.
Thanks for listening to 'Cause We're Nerds. Stay up to date with all the nerdy news and podcast drops by following us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can also leave us comments and feedback at causewe'renerds@gmail.com. That's CUZWERENERDS@gmail.com. And as always, if you enjoy this podcast, we would love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on iTunes. Next week, it's a worldwide kaiju war in Godzilla, King of the Monsters. Coming 5 years after the original, does the sequel address the issues of the first film? How will it set up Godzilla vs. King Kong? But above all else, is it as awesome as the trailers make it out to be? We'll find out on next week's episode of 'Cause We're Nerds. And, as always, stay nerdy! Alright, we need the room noise.
Room noise, everyone! Room noise.
I can't get the room noise if you keep making noise.
But for real, what is this room noise thing? Because I didn't know about this part.
Yes, you do. This is the part where we're quiet.
Oh.